Thank you again for joining us today. What we are about to do today is a culmination of an engagement that we've had with two large media houses in Kenya, that is Raw Media Services and Nation Media Group. And we titled it Large Media House Support. So essentially, because today is not a day for giving speeches, essentially what we've been doing is to support journalists from these media houses who have brilliant ideas that either the media houses were still developing and did not want to dive deep into, or did not have the resources or the expertise to develop those ideas. So they were gracious enough to second 3 journalists from the 2 media houses to the Media Innovation Center. We got on board a team of experts that were led by Brian and Mutugi. I think they'll briefly tell us about the organization that helped us manage this process. And we are happy that after just about 10 months, we've managed to come up with minimum viable products in 6 different areas. And today we are going to have a look at 5 of them. So just like I said, we are not going to take too much time. This was a partnership between DW Academy and Aga Khan University, the Media Innovation Center. So from Aga Khan, I was representing the university, and I was working with 2 colleagues from DW, that is Julia and Roxana. I think Roxana is online. Maybe for 1 minute, Roxana, if you have a word or 2 to say about the large media house support, the engagement we've had with the 6 journalists. And then I'll invite Claire for just a few remarks. Roxana?
Yes, good morning, everyone. I'm very excited to be here, and thank you very much for everyone who is making the time and taking the time to be here. A few words about the program. We are very excited about this program and the milestone we've achieved today, because this program is part of a larger effort to support innovation in East Africa under our project Media Futures East Africa. This is an ideation and incubation program for large media houses, and it was conceived as an addition to our innovation fostering activities, like the flagship program Innovators in Residence and the Solutions Challenge for smaller and medium-sized news media in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And as I said, it is part of the overall effort to spark and support innovations at different levels and to bring relevant added value to quality journalism in East Africa. We started this program last year, and we wanted to give journalists, selected journalists from larger media houses, traditional media, the chance to come up with ideas of media products that they would find relevant for their audience, where they would like to develop products together with our coordinators and colleagues from MAID Kenya. You will be able to meet them later on and work on these ideas that they have selected themselves, and to bring them to a level where they can be presented. You will see that the products are not final, fully developed products. They're at the level of minimum viable products, but they are very interesting, relevant, of course, and we are very excited about the collaboration with Nation Media Group and Raw Media Services. And yes, I think I would leave it at that. I'm sure that everyone is very excited to hear the presentations. I know I am. And I want to thank everyone, also MAID Kenya, my colleagues from the AKU, our colleagues and excellent journalists from Nation Media Group and Raw Media Services for putting in the effort during the past months. It has been a long journey, but I believe a very exciting one. And yeah, I would like to invite you later on to listen to the presentations, and also please provide feedback, engage in a conversation. We'd be happy to hear your feedback. And yeah, I would leave it to that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Roxana. I think I'll invite Claire. And let me also take this time to recognize the presence of Max Okeo from NMG and our Chief of Staff, Soraya, from GSMC. I know at some point we'll be joined by the Dean. We also have the Managing Director from MED, that is Mtugi Nairobi, and a few colleagues from MED. Claire?
Good morning, everyone. It is a great pleasure to welcome you today to the Media Innovation Center. Thank you for making time to join us today to participate in our inaugural demo day for the Large Media House support. This marks another great milestone for the Media Innovation Center and the Media Futures Project. This is the second demo day, the first one being for the Innovators in Residence, which was held earlier in the year. So it's always a good feeling to see your efforts come to fruition. So in this inaugural phase, we worked with 2 media houses. And in subsequent phases, we hope to work with more media houses and in Kenya and in the region. I would like to give special thank you to our colleagues who've worked in the background with the journalists, Hesbon from the MIC and Roxana from DWA. Your hard work and support towards the journalists have made this day a success. I want to congratulate the journalists who will be presenting their products today. I'm sure you've come up with good projects, and I look forward to seeing them soar. From the media houses, as Hesbon mentioned, they worked closely with Max Okeo from NMG and Wahiga Maura from RMS. So at this point, I'd like to welcome Max Okeo to give a few remarks.
Thank you. Sorry, I wasn't prepared for this. This is an ambush. Good morning, everyone. Now, where do I start? I think this journey started sometime last year, if I remember correctly. Of course, there was some back and forth, and we're held back from progressing it as fast as we'd have liked. But I believe the opportunity is prime. It is time that we get into such kind of collaborations with academia, with media, with other industry players that then make sense to build collaborations that make sense for the new age customer, for audience opportunities as it were, and for monetization opportunities. I think there is a huge opportunity that traditional media houses need to tap into. The new age consumer has shifted, and we also need to keep abreast or keep pace with that new age audience. So there is a lot that is going on. There is opportunity to leverage on the data that we get to understand our customers better, to get to understand what the trends are like. A few minutes ago, I was having a discussion with the CEO of AfriPods and the CEO of Nielsen, and the trends around how our audiences are shifting and their consumption habits is amazing, particularly for the Gen Z and the millennials. What we believe we consumed as media is not what they believe is the new age media for them. It's a totally different space. And to remain relevant to that audience, we have to keep shifting as fast as they're shifting or as fast as they're moving. Otherwise, then we die. We have to keep reinventing ourselves on the move. Leverage on data, understand them, leverage on the opportunities for machine learning, artificial intelligence, build on that opportunity. There's a lot more of our audiences moving into personalization, which is making a lot more sense now. Building communities that make sense to the audiences that we are serving. So bundling is basically dead. How then do we leverage on data, which becomes at the centerpiece of what we're doing as media practitioners? How then do we leverage on data to be able to develop products that resonate sustainably with the customers that we're targeting? How do we tap into that young audience and grow with them and build brands that speak to them? So this kind of engagement then helps us to try out things, test things, A/B testing in the market that then makes sense for the different audiences or the different target groups that we're seeking to serve. One, and then two, there's the issue around emerging markets, emerging digital markets. How do we develop ecosystems that then speak to our audiences? Because they're not just coming to read our content or to watch our videos or listen to our podcasts. How do we develop ecosystems that speak to them? An ecosystem where someone is engaged well enough with your brand to attend an event that makes sense to them, to interact with suppliers or with buyers on an interactive platform, digital platform as it were, to then purchase a product or engage a doctor or attend a virtual event online. How do we build such kind of platforms? How do we engage the new age advertiser who is more discerning and understands the kind of audience they want to reach or tap into? How do we develop ecosystems that then speak to this audience? And three, a big part of what I've said is data. How do we leverage on that data to monetize it? How do we build an OTT service over and above what we are doing to then drive value to that new age consumer? Yeah. So there is a huge challenge for us as media practitioners, journalists and the business side alike, that we need to leverage on that data sustainably and consistently to be able to identify new opportunities that keep coming and keep driving us towards engaging that consumer. That said, we shouldn't forget the fact that there is big tech. There are big tech players who are eating our lunch, and they keep saying they eat our lunch, breakfast, and dinner, because we develop the content for them. We spend our time, our effort, our resources developing content, and then they aggregate it and make money from it. Do we collaborate with them, or do we regulate them? For me, where I sit, there's an opportunity to regulate them, and there's an opportunity to partner with them, because they've invested heavily in tech. And so because they've invested heavily in tech, how do we leverage on their ability to tap into that audience, even as we build our own capacity in tech? Two is to regulate them. This has happened in Australia. We can definitely come together as media practitioners, not just in Kenya, but across the African region, to see how we can regulate them and tap a lot more into the revenue that they're making. If we need to survive, then we had better be getting a lot more from that pie. It is our audience, it is our money. The fact that they've invested in tech, that does not necessarily mean that they should eat our lunch. We need to get better at it. Yeah. And then last but not least, there's a huge opportunity around events that media practitioners need to tap into. How do we develop brands, not just products? Because you have to build products that then transition into brands that speak and resonate with your audience. How do we develop brands that have events that bring these communities together? It could be health, it could be lifestyle, it could be a music concert, it could be gaming community, it could be anything, it could be personal finance. How do we build brands that bring together events, advertisers, suppliers and buyers alike, all together into events that then help us build new revenue streams and opportunities for our businesses? Innovation then forms the center of getting all these things together, of building these ecosystems, trying out what works, what doesn't work. Some things will work in our market, some things will not, because of regulation, connectivity, literacy levels, smartphone penetration. Yeah. And so as we do this, we need to make sure that as we test with the different markets and see what makes sense. Some of the things will make sense in the urban areas, some of them will make sense in the more remote areas. But it is important that we have to keep innovating. Traditional businesses or traditional media businesses have struggled to make the shift because what was their castle and in a successful space for print or newspapers as it were, and traditional TV and radio, has become their prison, or our prison for that matter, because we have struggled to rethink beyond what was our success, our sunset glory. Yeah. And so now, because the revenues are shrinking, it becomes a lot more difficult to innovate in new spaces because you're trying to hold on to the cash to survive the next couple of years. Yeah? And that is why a lot of startups are beginning to also eat our lunch. It's a lot easier for them. Their structures are smaller than ours. It becomes difficult for us to shrink the investments that we've made in frequencies, in talent over the years, in tech infrastructure. So it becomes difficult to make the shift. But we need to be a lot more deliberate about making the shift. Incremental transformation will not cut it. We have to go into it deep. And I keep telling people it is not a spa, it's a gym. It requires heavy lifting. There are no short-term returns. You have to walk the talk, and you have to go through the path of driving that change. So there are a couple of things involved as I finish. I didn't mean to make this a long speech, but now that I was given the mic. So there are a couple of things. One is addressing the issue around people and culture. What kind of people do we need in the new age newsroom? What kind of culture are we looking at? When you're working with young people, there's the fact that they don't really want to work 8 to 5. They want to work from home. Developers like to work at night. They don't want to walk into the office. They don't want closed setups. They want their space. So are we building collaborative environments to enable people to work freely and actively, to participate and contribute to the broader objective of the organization? 2 is the issue around workflows and processes, and some people combine workflows and processes and technology. What kind of workflows and processes work to deliver success for you as an organization and for your customer? Because at the end of the day, at the center of all this is the customer. Yeah? How have you developed structures that then help you engage with your customer better? 3 is the issue around technology. What kind of investment in terms of technology are we making as media organizations to be able to engage with our customers better, to offer a world-class experience, and to offer payment opportunities that then make sense for them in terms of developing successful customer journeys, and connecting the dots with data and technology to be able to engage with your customer better. And then 4 is the product. What kind of products are you developing? What content formats are you looking at? The new age customer is not going to read long text that Gushu writes about. Yeah? They're going to consume content in smaller formats. The attention span is reducing. They say a goldfish has an attention span of 8 seconds. Gen Z has an attention span of, I think, 7 or 6 seconds. So if you don't tap into their attention in 6-7 seconds, then you've lost them. So talk about content formats, short videos, podcasts that they listen to on the go because they want to multitask. If you notice, if you look at research, a lot of people, even as they watch news, which is also dying, by the way, the traditional news bulletin, as they watch news, they're on their phones, they're on their tablets, they're doing multiple things. And I assume it's the same thing in this room. As you watch news, you're also doing other things on your phone. So the attention is split. So how do you tap into their attention and keep them engaged and be able to successfully monetize those eyeballs? Yeah. So that then goes into the customer, because at the center of it is the customer. And last but not least is the opportunities around monetization. Advertising, events, data, monetization, the emerging markets like the digital marketplaces that I talked about. It could be in technology, it could be in agriculture, it could be in healthcare, it could be in education as ed tech. So looking at those opportunities and identifying opportunities to just monetize and remain sustainable in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Max. Made for the People has been an instrumental partner in this. I want to recognize Brian's work. But at this point, I would like to invite the Managing Director, Mutugim Nairobi.
Morning, everyone. I almost want to give my 3 minutes to Max. I was really enjoying what now he was sharing. So great. So morning again. My name is Mutugim Nairobi, and I'm the Managing Director of Made by People. We've been really happy to be part of this process, right? We really enjoyed joining in with you guys and walking this journey with AKU and DW throughout the whole thing. And I'll just quickly introduce two other people, or three people from my team. Brian, who the journalists are very familiar with. He's our human-centered design lead and has been walking through this journey with you. There's More Arungskothek. He's our marketing lead also, and Caroline Mande, who is our design, visual, all that stuff. Yeah, she helps us look good when we go out to the public, right? Yeah, so Made by People is a design-led software consultancy, right? So I'm sure you're asking yourself, Made by People, as we've been called everything. So made by the people, yeah. So, but the key thing about us is we are people-centered, right? We believe that everything we're doing is actually being designed, made, and developed for human users. So we are people who make things for people, right? So that's kind of where our name came from. That's kind of who we are. It's really our whole ethos is that we're here to make things that are actually very usable and are very engaging for whoever actually consumes them. Right. Sorry, 1 second. I was given 3 minutes, so I had to put down my notes to very short things. Yeah. So one of the key things I want to just be really kind of focusing for a second is just first gratitude towards both AKU and NDWA for giving us this chance to actually participate in this. The second thing is actually a more personal thank you to DWA. So at the beginning of COVID, when we were all transitioning from office work to kind of getting back to, well, the whole work from home scenario, one of the big questions we had for ourselves was how are we going to manage doing all our work online, right? Because we run a lot of workshops, we do a lot of research. How are we going to do this online? And DWA had this great program, I think it was part of your smaller media houses work, where they trained us on actually how to use online tools effectively in workshops, right? And that training and that upskilling of my team actually allowed us to get through the last 2 years very successfully. And still be able to now kind of transition back into normal work. So I'm grateful to both teams for these great opportunities. To the innovators, right? I know at this point it's been a long journey. It's been 10 months. You have your ideas together. You're now at the MVP stage, right? You have walked through this journey. You have done your deep thinking around your ideas, and you're out there in the field now testing them. So as you kind of look at this, and also from my experience engaging with you the last 10 months, is your work-life schedule is very hectic, right? You guys are very, very engaged in your work, and it's the nature of your work, right? As in, things happen, you guys have to go and report on it, you have to go do your research, you have to understand it, you have to deliver well on the journalism side of things. But I just want to encourage you guys to find a very strong and to your conversation as you're going into getting out of the AKU lab and getting back into using your innovations in the real world. And you may be asking, what's an and, right? So the and basically is you will do your job, you're 8 to 5, or I think yours is maybe 8 a.m. to 8 a.m. I think at times you guys are in the field forever, right? And still get back to your innovation and do your innovation really well, right? These things both belong to you, right? They're yours, as much as they may also be part of your bigger organization, but you as a journalist who's sitting in the room right now, you are the innovator behind this, right? This is yours, this is your skill set, this is something that you will carry on with yourself, basically forever, right? So really encourage you to find that really strong and right? So that when you're feeling burnt out and you think to yourself, I just want to do my normal work and I don't want to get back to this innovation that I've worked on. No, just find that and just like, yeah, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do the other thing and I'm going to do it really well, right? So maybe the last thing I'll just leave you with is just to remember that innovation is not a destination, it's a topless mountain, right? You always have to keep working on it. I know it's cheesy, but it's true, right? So enjoy your journey through your innovation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tugi. And from RMS, I'd like to welcome Claire. I don't know whether she's with us.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm glad to be here. Just listening to all of you and all that you've been able to accomplish throughout the COVID period. And innovation is important, really. You innovate or you die. So I just heard one of them speaking about the importance of events. You have to keep on moving with the times, and events is where it's at right now. He spoke about Generation Z, and the time span is really, really short. I remember I was speaking to one of my colleagues, and she's 21 years old, and she was telling me, I don't know why I have to be in this office from 8 to 5. I can do what I can do from home, and she gets the work done. So it's really thinking outside the box and really accommodating people as they come, because they have brilliant ideas, and so we have to be open to these kind of working spaces. So I'm happy that all of you have been able to achieve what you've been able to do, and I'm just here to hear from you. So thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Karibuni once again, and we look forward to hearing and seeing the presentations. I'll hand it back to Hesbon.
Thank you, Claire. I think we want to be very careful with time. So before I invite Bran, because I think the most important section of this program is to get to see what the products are. But I want to give 3 minutes to our DWA lead who is here. That is Stefan. Stefan, if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Your 3 minutes. Stefan is very experienced, has led innovation in almost all the continents in this country. He's the DWA lead, very experienced journalist, has worked in South America. I think right now he's working with many African innovators, including the community that we have here at the Innovation Center. Stefan?
Yeah, thank you, Hesbon, and I hope you can hear me well in Nairobi. Good morning to Nairobi. Good morning to Bonn as well, and good morning to Berlin. And I would ask my colleagues of DW maybe to put on their video, because my role is as well to introduce you a little bit to our audience. I'm also really happy to see our colleagues from AKU in the room. As the journalists who made possible this event today, and the different representatives from the large media houses. It's really interesting and resonating a lot what Max said, what Made Kenya said. So it's really many of the thoughts we are having in this project, and we are really curious to hear more about what you develop. And I think one thing what we learned in this project, Media Futures, is that Kenya is a place to learn for us as DW as well, because it's such an incredible media ecosystem with a very dynamic power and energy, a lot of talent. We have seen this talents grow in our Innovator in Residence program. You can check it out on our website, for example. I can only recommend it to my colleagues from DW to check out the other people who also developed a lot of interesting stuff. And today, when we now are giving feedback, Mirko, Petra, Crispin, Julius, and me, of course, it's not that we know how things are done in a better way. Of course not. It's just another perspective we want to offer you. And you can, of course, take it or leave it, of course. And what we tried is to bring together a kind of interesting mix of expertise for you. And let me start maybe to talk quickly about who is attending. Let me start with Petra. Hey, Petra, good morning. Petra, she works for our Policy and Learning Department. She's an expert on many things, between them media viability. But I also know Petra because I listened to her on the radio. She was working also as a correspondent for many years as a journalist in different parts of the world, and brings in this expertise. And thank you for being with us. Then I can see Crispin. I'm not sure if you are in Ghana or in Bonn. Good morning, Crispin. Crispin is from the Africa department of DW, and he is senior editor. And he was also part of some of our editorial projects. We are having our East side, where we publish articles on media innovation in East Africa, and he was helping us and supporting us a lot with his journalistic expertise. Welcome, Crispin, this morning. And then there is Julius, my dear colleague Julius. We worked together for a long time, also at Deutsche Welle Academy. Welcome, Julius. And Julius, he is a real expert on digitization, and he also has a long experience of doing digital work. He also was founder of different companies and brings in a lot of the expertise at Deutsche Welle. We are working on dis and misinformation, but also the digital topics in general. And finally, Mirko, I'm also very glad that you are that you made it. Mirko Lawrence, he's for me also a role model, kind of, because Mirko, I think it's 10 years you founded Data Wrapper, right? Data Wrapper, if you do not know, you should know it. It's a tool developed for data journalism. And it's a good example for innovation, I think, because you started as a small startup and now you are a company with more than, 15 people working from Berlin and having clients all over the world, between them New York Times and so it's really a very interesting thing, and I'm looking forward to your feedback. But you also, of course, are working for DW as an innovation manager for the research and cooperation department. So so these are the guys from DW, and myself, as Hespen said, I'm senior consultant here, and I'm really looking forward now to what you are presenting to us, and I hope we can have a good conversation. Because I think what also Max said, collaboration is key. And it's good to see competitors here in the same room. But I think we are not competitors when it comes to good journalism, because we need to collaborate, because good journalism is a public good that needs to be defended. And for this, we really need to work together and develop new solutions and products. Thank you, and looking forward.
Thank you, Stefan. I think now, without taking too much time, I'll invite Brian. Brian is not going to give a long speech. Brian is going to take us through the next session.
Good morning, everyone. I think Max can easily take my job for the next cohort because he knows everything about design thinking and human-centered design. It's a pleasure to have all of you here this morning. It's been a great experience. We started this journey last year, and it's been a very, very interesting process. BBI came and went, elections came and went. Now, this project has also come to a good end, and we've been able to develop the MVPs with the journalists. We've been coming here almost every week for the entire duration, except that election period and all that. And we've enjoyed each other's company. We've learned a lot. We had mentors that the journalists were able to interact with, be able to learn more, but not just about the media houses or the work that they're doing as journalists, but also around innovation and how to navigate these waters. We really enjoyed Hesbon's and Claire's lunch and tea. I think that was a highlight for Mutai. But it's been a great journey, and what was different with this is, just as opposed to the media houses having ideas on how they can be able to monetize their content or how they can be able to build better better tools in their presence or in their workplaces, or streamline operations. We're able to look at actual pain points that the target users for these products face, so that we are actually solving problems that exist, not problems that exist in our heads. We're able to build personas of who we are targeting, getting to know their environment. What tools are they using to access this media? Do they have TVs? Do they have smartphones? Do they have feature phones? How do we interact with them? How do we engage with them? And most importantly, how do we monetize that content so that the media houses can be able to grow? And I believe that the skills that these journalists have learned will go a long way in helping both them as individuals and also the media houses where they work to be able to build better products, or to be able to invent the products that we currently have, and for them to grow and be more profitable, especially in these changing times and this digital age that we're having. So yeah, I'll not give a very long speech. That is it from me. And I would like to invite our first presenter, Brian Mutai.
Good afternoon, everyone. So apart from the food Brian mentioned, we also have a good presentation to make today, and we really appreciate all of you for coming to this launch. And I will go straight to running an introductory video.
My name is Brian Mutai, a freelance broadcast journalist, a video producer, and voiceover artist. And I was part of the large media house support project by Aga Khan Innovation Center. My experience was great, interacting with mentors, interacting with other colleagues in the media space, and also gaining much needed knowledge in the new media spaces was just amazing. I have learned new ways of creating content that will fit into the new digital space that the world is moving. My product is called Eleza Stories. It is a way of connecting audiences directly with authorities and experts to provide solutions to everyday problems. It will have the audiences actively involved in asking the questions themselves directly to authorities without the in-between of being interrupted by maybe presenters or what we've seen in the old media. This product will be hosted online, on Facebook, on Instagram, and YouTube. It will be live. It will be a live product. The target audience is elderly people who are being affected by the daily governance issues, the community challenges that they face on a regular basis. The unique bit is a human-centered design. This product is by the people, for the people. It gives the opportunity for the audiences to ask the questions directly without being neutralized or being diluted by an in-between or a third party. So these audiences will go live on a platform that has been organized, of course, by any of media organizers, and then they will have the opportunity to ask the questions directly without a presenter. The presenter's work will just to moderate so that we have a peaceful or a sort of we have decorum in the process. So the unique bit is that these people will ask the questions directly, and they'll be able to get feedback directly from authorities.
Thank you very much for that. So that is the introduction. I will not delve deeper I'll just try to elaborate further using a presentation. The idea is dependent on the already existing infrastructure, as we've mentioned, like Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Max mentioned something about moving the digital space. The people are moving to the digital space and trying to create products that are mobile friendly. So we are trying to replicate what is on live TV now to a consumable format. To demonstrate how it works, I have created a video which we will play later on. From the video, you'll notice a pre-packaged story from an affected community who will then ask questions directly to the authorities. The pain point of our target audience is the lack of a direct channel to authorities who can listen to them and solve their everyday concerns. The demographic that is largely affected includes the taxpayer and the common mwananchi, who is a citizen. The addressable audience is the citizen who is affected by government, institutions, and policies and the general socioeconomic environment. And increased commercialization in media is risking turning the media from telling the whole story to telling the paid-for story, which is the traditional way of doing things, resulting in a repressive and controlling government or corporate narrative. But on an online platform like YouTube, you'll not be able to, you just earn from the clicks, the comments, and you don't need to really depend on the traditional revenue streams. A live show like this cuts the bureaucracy attached to the who pays the piper and allows journalists to carry the story from the people by the people. I hope that does not sound political. Allowing the people to speak for themselves is allowing for real journalism to thrive. With the advent of new media and digital migration, a live online product will help cater for the mobile audience. If the problem is not addressed, then the journalist has the responsibility to put the authorities to task. The innovation allows for direct feedback between the people and authorities or experts. With a live feedback session, authorities will be tasked to provide solutions to existing problems. This complements the already existing town hall sessions that we see on our traditional live TVs, only that this time the presenter lays back, is not tasked with asking the questions on behalf of the people or trying to control the narrative of the conversation. During the residency program, we have been able to produce the video demos and a website that can host future publications, which we'll be able to share on the slide. Therefore, if we can get funding for this so that we can further, again, what Max was saying, so that we further it as individuals, or ensure that we replicate it and make sure that we actualize the product. We did this project in synergy or in collaboration with Elfas Lagat, who is joining us live from, he's out of the country, but we did it in collaboration, and that you will notice from the videos that we will play that these ideas are symbiotic. They borrow a lot from each other. So I will run through Elfas's idea as well, but he will just come at the tail end to fine-tune or to elaborate further. His idea is about using transitions. In the same products that we create, our audiences are very transient. They move, they want entertainment, they want to be constantly engaged. So how do we then create products that make this kind of audience glued to our content? There is every indication that audiences are moving en masse in the digital space in every aspect, and their lives, including consumption of media content. According to PwC, internet advertising revenue surpassed TV advertising by about $141 for internet million US dollars and $98 million US dollars for TV. Changing tact is how we tell stories as such is inevitable. We propose to move into telling stories that have visually compelling and entertaining formats while training high journalistic standards and ethics, or while employing high journalistic standards and ethics as well. Use of transitions makes stories quirky, easy to the eye, and memorable. Large media houses find it difficult to adopt a digital-first strategy. Again, Max mentioned this. A pilot of how digital stories will look like and perform on the digital platforms can change this situation. Digital stories appeal to a diverse audience, provided they have access to smartphones. Use of useful and creative transitions is attainable They give a story the wow factor, so you enjoy watching it. Transitions and other visuals such as well-thought graphics make stories visually attractive and can easily travel within the available digital architecture. Mobile penetration is in sub-Saharan Africa content has snowballed, or rather, with the advent of 5G network, it is clearly an area we can leverage on. I will jump to the content creators. Content creators have already adopted creative transitions ahead of journalists, which we see. We find content creators that are not necessarily trained journalists, but they have already adopted this. They use very consumable formats that are attractive to the eye. Using better visuals in storytelling with adherence to fact-checking, duty of care and accuracy can change how we engage our audiences. These products can enable large media houses to tell stories in creative, entertaining, and compelling digital formats and still hold its age-long authority in addressing the needs of our audiences. So I will now invite us to watch the actual
Odi odi, I need your attention. Ni kijana wa usafi, niko garbage collection, niko rotation door to door, mlango kwa mlango. Baada ya kazi nipe do, niweke kwa mpango. Na wakilisha na hakikisha kijeni safi, na nikifika sitabakisha. Yo, karibuni kije, tupeleke tuonyeshe pali tunapiga wax na venye si upiga wax. My name is Kevin Omondi. I'm a member of Wapole Kije CBO. We are based in Pumwani Majengo. Basically, what we do is garbage collection from households. We also deal with trenches and material recovery. So what we are trying to do is to bridge the gap where the authorities have created an absence, especially in these informal settlements where there is no a proper garbage collection system. So whatever we get from the garbage collection, we usually save a little. So we try to buy tools. Another thing that motivates us to do this work is to mitigate the climatic change, the effects of climatic change. For plastic, we usually set a target of 1 ton so that when we call the companies, they can come easily. So when we find any kind of electronic waste, after we've recovered the materials, first of all, we see if it's safe to deal with it. Is it repairable? We are not licensed to dismantle those things. So we usually collect them as a whole. And then we try to find some other markets, maybe some middlemen, some brokers. The employment rate among our youth, it's very low. So you tend to have very many youths, or we even send some away because so whatever we are getting from what we are doing cannot be enough. And we also sensitize the community about recycling, reusing, so that they can minimize all their waste.
Communities can play a critical role in the management of garbage in the city and its environs. But then, can this be anchored on policy?
Yes, indeed, members of the community can very much be involved in the management of garbage or solid waste, particularly when they can come as organized groups, as CBOs, and start enterprises that are associated with waste management.
My urge to the county government, if they can come down here to CBOs like Wapole Kije, it can enable us to expand, to widen our net, and we can do more professional work as much as garbage collection is concerned.
So the next is now the live, how the live format will look like.
Brian Mutai. Welcome to this live chat. And today we are looking into doing things differently, a way of connecting audiences directly with authorities and experts to provide answers to everyday pressing concerns, a way that the people are actively involved in conversations that matter. We connect Kevin, the founder of Wapole Kije, a community-based organization in Pumwani, with NEMA. Kevin will have a one-on-one live conversation with NEMA on garbage management in Nairobi's informal settlements. Kevin, if you can hear me, please introduce yourself to our audiences and tell us why garbage management.
Aye ni Kevoski hapa. Nashukuru sana Brian Mutai kutupatia hii chance ya kugo live. Tuta interact na nyinyi kwa njia yenye inatunufaisha sote. Ile kitu inaniinspire kufanya hii shughuli ni kwamba inani keep busy, inanipatia mapato, na pia na jaribu kubadilisha environment yangu.
Now let's welcome Dr. Charles Lange, the Deputy Director, NEMA. Dr. Charles, if you can hear me, please kindly introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you very much, Brian. My name is Dr. Charles Lange. I am a Deputy Director in charge of Environmental Planning and Research for the National Environment Management Authority.
Sisi tumekuwa tukishughulika na hii kazi ya garbage collection kwa muda mrefu. Play part pali kuna absence ya authorities wenye wanafaa kushughulika na hii maneno. Na ile swali ningependa kuuliza NEMA, roli yao kwa hii shughuli yote ya waste management ni gani? Na sisi kama ma-CBO huku mashinani, wako na mechanism gani ya kutufikia, ya kujua pia sisi tunashughulika na hii mambo, na wako na plan gani ya kuhakikisha pia sisi wanatusupport kwa hii shughuli yenye tunafanya?
I want to advise you that any given time that you wish to further partnerships with NEMA, our doors are open, and you can always come and seek any assistance that you want to forge collaboration with us.
Well, that's the end of our conversation. Thank you very much.
So that is basically the idea and how it looks like. I would like to just invite Elfas to give a parting shot, then we are done with this presentation. Elfas, if you can hear me, please.
Thank you very much, Brian Mutai, for that elaborate presentation. I want to sincerely thank AKU. I want to sincerely thank the DW team for giving us this space really over the last couple of months to be able to, have this training and to work on our products. And I mean, as Max said, the new age consumer really is really dynamic, and we need to explore, try out, and test these products on real world and see how our audiences are able to take these products up. And so, I mean, collaborations are the way to go, as everybody has mentioned. And we would like to really try and scale this up over the next couple of months and see how it works. So that, I mean, a study has shown that people are moving to the digital space. And how do we, as media practitioners, then come in to really bring in the expertise, bring in the ethical ways of telling stories, and still be able to engage our audiences on the spaces that they are in. And this, I believe, this initiative would enable us to do that. Let's continue working together on this and make it a success. So thank you very much, and I'm really glad that I was able to join you. I would have loved to be there physically, but because of work schedules, I would be, I've managed to at least join on digital space again. And so thank you so much to the entire team for this, and we hope that we can scale it further. Mutai.
Thank you very much. On behalf of myself and the entire team, I want to thank all of our organizers, Brian from MAID, Hesbon, DW, Roxana, DW, and Royal Media Services as well for seconding us to come here to be part of this. We really enjoyed, and thank you very much. God bless you all.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Celestine Olilo from Nation Media Group. I was also part of the a team that was doing the large media house support in conjunction with the AKU and DWA. So my project is a microsite. I don't know if you can see it. Yes, there it is. But before I present it, I just want to take you back a few years ago. Not 1 year ago, but many, many years ago. About 100,000 to 200,000 years ago. Around that time, I don't know if we were called human beings, but this race, the human race, changed yelps and sounds and shouts and screams into words. And we began to communicate with each other in a more structured manner. And then after that, we know how communication has transitioned to this point where we have the internet. We went from those early language days to scrolls and papyrus reeds and these manuscripts from the Bible and the Hindu sects, to newspaper, which was a really good one, very big, to radio, to TV, another very dramatic form of communication, to now the internet, first the Usenet, then the World Wide Web, and then Facebook. And at this point, I would like us to think about the various ways in which Facebook is a stupid idea. Stupid not because it is stupid, but stupid in the sense that if you can imagine the very early days of Facebook in early 2000s when it was just starting, if someone would tell you Facebook and you've never had it, probably you would never have even subscribed to it. Think about it. So you put a photo on your Facebook page and then you sit somewhere and wait for people to respond, to like, and whatnot. There was even a poke button, and it actually even messes with your psyche. And so if people don't comment on your photo, then it's a problem. And you put up your views, and when people agree with you, it's a big issue. When they don't agree with you, it's also a big issue. But it has grown in such ways that now almost the world cannot imagine a world without Facebook, because now we can communicate with people from all over the world. This website that I'm going to present to you might sound cheesy, but I am of the opinion that for us to revive this patient called traditional media, we have to think outside the lines, and some of these ideas that we must explore are those that look cheesy. So this website that I'm presenting today, it's not really a website, it's a microsite. And the way that I conceptualized it is that it will be domiciled in the larger nation media group if they adopt it. If they don't, then we can go the full way and make it into our website. So it's a website, it's called Rieng. It's a microsite. And this microsite, it targets young audiences. Young audiences who I'm calling, in this case, the replenishers. Replenishers because they're going to replenish the old audience who are our primary consumers, which is dead, and some are dying, others are really old and about to die. And so we really need to attract these youth audiences, and this is why I chose this project. So the target audience for this microsite is young audiences between the ages of 15 and 45. The content will be divided into 6 subsections. There'll be what's happening, there'll be entertainment, there'll be life, personal finance, top video, and my story. So if you notice, there's no news here. Yes, it's a news website, but I've realized that even that word news, it's associated with a certain type of person. And so we're talking about what's happening, which will cover the current affairs of the day, both locally and international. And the unique thing about this thing is that because it targets young audiences, and most of the news, in this part of the world, most of the news is very depressing, especially to young audiences. Not depressing because people have died or whatnot, but because it is full of politics. And the politics that is being discussed there is very depressing in that it affects you so profoundly, but you can do almost nothing about it. So that's why most young people don't bother with news anymore. In fact, that model is dying, of having people stand on top of us, in front of a camera and read news for 45 minutes. We will have to rethink that in the near future. Why? Because, it's not a model that is working anymore. Young audiences don't watch news anymore. So in this microsite, our news is going to be 1 minute long. And I'll show you how we're going to do it. And then, like I said, it's going to be domiciled in the NMG platform if they accept it. If not, then we'll just make it a full website. So why did I conceptualize this microsite? And I'm calling it Rieng. Rieng is both a greeting and it's also an exclamation. If you go out there and you tell someone Rieng, you don't say Rieng. It's like an exclamation. It's also a question. It's also a greeting. That's why I chose that word. It was conceptualized out of the need to attract and retain youth audiences, which is a big headache for every media house right now across the globe, not just in Kenya or Africa, but across the globe. So news on this platform will be promoted on social media, primarily through Instagram and TikTok videos. The target audience, okay, that I've said. The unique thing about this website is that all content will be delivered either in informal Kiswahili or in the Sheng language. How do I do that? Apologies for that. We're trying to put it on the full screen so that you can all see, but I guess it's okay now. So yeah, like I said, this news in this platform is going to be, not just news, but all content in this platform is going to be presented in the Sheng language. So for those who don't know, especially those who are joining us from DWA, Sheng is slang spoken by young people in urban areas in Kenya, but then it's spoken all over Kenya. So we chose this change of language so that we've tried so many things as media, and I've been in the mainstream media for 9 years now, and I've observed the very many strategies that we've adopted to try and revive our products and to try and attract young audiences, but then we've never tried this change of language. So I thought this is something that we could explore going forward. So the language is going to be used as bait to interest young people and retain them on their website. Yeah, so as you know, most news items in Kenyan websites and news websites are usually done in English or Kiswahili, so we thought to do things a little bit different. This website is why our website is because everything is going online. All over the world, newspapers are folding, and media houses are relying on, those media houses that are relying on circulation only, you're seeing how much they are struggling. They're basically on their knees because they have to innovate so fast. And like Mark said, we find ourselves in a situation where we really need to innovate, but then our cash reserves are so small that it's even difficult to innovate. And so that is why most media houses that relied on circulation are really struggling. Also, the audiences are changing, and we have to take cognizance of this. Hence, the need to tailor-make content for specific audiences. Especially young people are very specific on what they want, and sometimes it's difficult to know what they want unless you actually try something new and see if they will like it or not. The question of why now, there's a report by Ofcom that was released, I think, 2 weeks ago, and it says that news consumption in the UK shows that TikTok is the fastest growing source of news for adults. TikTok was also identified as the fastest growing source of news in the Reuters Institute. So different studies have shown that actually people are moving from traditional media to online. They're moving from TV, and they're moving from radio, and they're going online on different platforms of online. So if you get a way of packaging your content online, then you are likely to experience success. So that is the end of my presentation. I have some demos to show. I don't know if we'll get time to play them right now. If not, we can play them later, or I have URLs at the bottom of the email that you are sent inviting you here. There are URLs there which you can see them. If we finish early, then we can be able to play the demos that I had. Thank you. In Kisumu, it's not the same one that is spoken in Jericho, it's not the same one that is spoken in Kilimani, for instance. It's very, very different and dynamic. I think that the reason to us, they want to speak like us, I think. There's also this challenge that I also thought about. How do we monetize this? Because for those who are in Kenya, you know that sharing is usually associated with people who are of low-income segments. I think that there are various products that are also targeted to this particular demographic, and they're doing very well. Things like unga, basic things that you can be able to tap into and bring people on board for us to be able to attract these audiences. There's also the issue of does this audience actually have money to sustain our product? Because, as you know, most mainstream media houses are going into paywalls and whatnot. Does this demographic, will they be able to afford news that is put behind a paywall? I think these are some of the things that we'll just have to find out once we try. Because I think that the product is what determines whether or not someone will subscribe to your channel. So if you have a good product and you package it well in a language that they like, I think that they'll be able to like it, and they'll be able to take us forward.
Good afternoon again. Are you guys hungry? Okay. How many want to be rich? How many want to be wealthy? Okay. My product aims to help you do that. My name is Leonard Gushu. My day job, I'm the editor of Saturday Nation. Max is here, so I have to say it's my only job. And I'm here to present you a product called Money Guide. So what is Money Guide, you may ask? Money Guide is a product or is a portal. Let me call it a product, not a portal, that helps you save, invest, and enjoy life. And that is through giving you financial knowledge. Who is the target market? We are targeting the working class population of between ages of 27 to 50 years. And also guys who are in business, like the MD of Made there. I'm sure he has made money from Made. So he has money to invest, and he's wondering what to do with it. Why? What is the problem? Number one, our problem is defined by research, and number two, by experience. 7 in every 10 Kenyans who have access to banking services spend more money than they actually make. That's a research by Infotrack that was done for the World Bank. Also, another one showed that 1 in 8 middle-class homes have amassed debt greater than 3/4 of their total assets. Another research by IMF. Since these two organizations, as we like saying in local dialect, they speak a lot of English, sometimes which may not be, people sometimes don't think resonate with what is happening on the ground. We also tested this through our product, a product in the Saturday magazine Pullout, where we have a personal finance column, which is also uploaded online. And consistently, it is the most, either the first or the second most read, either the first or the second in terms of ranking. Every Saturday, and also Sunday mornings. So that validated the issue that people want financial knowledge. And that's now Money Guide. The essence of Money Guide is to set up a portal and what I call a TV or web show. In the portal, meaning a website or the app, we'll have tools that can help you live life affordably, for lack of a better word. I know guys don't like cheap, so let's just say affordably. For instance, if you want to, today, for lack of a better expression, want to know how you buy diapers, good quality diapers at a better price, the portal has a price comparison in it, whereby if, let's say you want to buy, I don't know which are the most popular brands of diapers, Huggies, yes. You can find out where can I get a 5-year, there is a normally 2 to 5 year old diaper at maybe this price, or which is the cheapest place I can buy that diaper. We have guys. Our aim is to get guys who can input data, and you'll be able to search and find out where you can get such diaper. And then we have a section we're calling Scam Busters. This is where every day you find that every day there's a new scam coming out in this country. There was, for lack of a better expression, the one for the greenhouses. Kenyans invested, lost money. Then I think we came out with another one for gold. And wash, that is the one that is currently in the, that is the most fashionable one, where guys are losing money trying to invest in gold and such minerals, for lack of a better word. So we have a section we calling Scam Busters, where guys write, and then we get experts to actually answer the questions on, is this investment scheme viable? We don't tell you whether it's fake or it's real. We tell you whether it's viable. Then you make the decision. Of course, we tell you that somebody is promising you 300%, like the guys who are doing greenhouses. Of course, who are promising you plant fruits in January. I think by June, you get 3 times your money. I mean, that is not possible. So that's why we'll be able to tell you, alternatively, that is not possible. Whether you decide to invest or not is another thing. Then in the same portal, we have a section called Conned, where Kenyans share their experiences on how they have been conned. Different Kenyans, like for the episode that we did, maybe we'll get to see a bit of it later. We talked to a guy who had lost 8 million shillings in this greenhouse deal, and how he invested, how he was lured by more investments, and he eventually ended up losing 8 million shillings. Then we have another section we call Your Advisor Series again, where readers get to ask questions to a pool of investment experts, questions that can help restructure their financial life. That way, we're able to offer a more interactive and more relevant product that touches on people's lives. What is our business model? Of course, number one, we want to partner with the financial institutions to include their products and in the video and explanations that will pay for it. For instance, if you want to invest for your child's education, you can partner with Jubilee and other companies that offer education policies. Second, we want to sell the content to organizations whose clients may use that content. Third, we can syndicate and sell it to media houses, including Max here and our good brothers at Royal Media. Then, of course, there's a good old paywall model where guys pay for that content. Of course, I think I had talked about this, what we did, the pilot we did, and I showed that the content was very popular. I will not re-emphasize on it. Competition, of course, everywhere, from personal finance experts on social media and other video blogs. But ours will be different because we want to invite credible experts, number one. We will not pretend to be giving the advice ourselves. We just be a platform where we can get experts to talk about it. Investments, to roll it out, we need around 100,000 euros, so around 12 million shillings. We can break even in 2 years. I think I was told I have 5 minutes. I hope I'm still on course. Of course, future plans, you can start here and roll it out across Africa. Everybody at some point wants to organize their financial life. So it's not something that is tied to basically this market. I'll just show you maybe just a few. Oh, this was a show. I need help here. No? I'll show you a few clips. We can start maybe with Your Advisor series. Let's not play this. Can start with just a clip of the Your Advisor series. No, just maybe from there. Let me see what.
During the current bear market at the Nairobi Stock Exchange. And to tell us that is Eric Musau, the head of research at Standard Investment Bank. Is Eric Musau. To a question from Samson Munene Kanyi, who is Today on Money Clinic, we respond to a question from Samson Munene Kanyi, who is
Don't worry, when we make money, the technology
who is
will
asking
work.
us which stocks are the best to invest in during the current bear market at the Nairobi Stock Exchange. And to tell us that is Eric Musau, the head of research at Standard Investment Bank. Welcome, Eric.
Thank you very much, Samson. A very topical question at this time for almost all investors. And maybe we can start with what a bear run is. And the term really comes from the way bear, the animal, attacks its prey, and it attacks going downward. And so you talk about a bear run, you're talking about a situation where the markets are falling persistently. The other term, of course, is bull run, and a bull attacks using its horn and kind of facing upwards, and it defines a period where the markets are going persistently upwards. So going back to why we have a bear run, and our sense is it's partly what's happening globally. We have higher interest rates happening in the global markets to fight inflation. There are supply chain issues, especially coming through COVID, that those supply chain issues have not been completely resolved. There's, of course, the Russia-Ukraine challenge that is still with us. And all these factors are boiling down to create a big challenge in the market. And so, what do you invest? And our sense is that one could look at stocks which are actually dividend yielding, so stocks with a good dividend return on an annual basis. And we've seen the banks coming out of the crisis, they've delivered very good return. They're starting to pay dividend and much higher dividend. Some stocks, such as Standard Chartered, is trading at a dividend yield of 12%, which is a good return. Equity Bank, KCB, are growing really fast. They have a low payout. You have diversification, so good names there. Kengen is another stock that we like. They have long contracts on their power supply to the country, 25 years. And if you look at that, that really points towards a consistent revenue stream.
I just wanted to show you a bit of a guy, an expert, telling us which top 5 best stocks to invest in. Then I think there's another trailer we had done on the different segments, but trying to put them into one. Let's go to the presentation. That shows different. Okay. As wind up. Yes, this one. That shows different segments of the show, just tidbits of them, which can be cut into different short clips. Yes, can start.
Hi, good people, and welcome to the premiere episode of Money Guide, a show where we learn about investing, saving, and making money. In this episode, we learn how to make money using the Airbnb app without having to buy an apartment. How much can you make good month? How much can you make?
First, I would say that it's very dynamic depending on your target clients.
Do you need to own units?
No.
You need to buy apartments.
You really don't need to buy apartments.
My top 3 destinations, locations to put up an Airbnb will depend on location. I think Kilimani is right up there. Then we have the South Bees because of location, the CBD, and also the pricing and whatnot.
And in Money Clinic, we respond to a viewer who is asking us how to invest in the stock exchange, especially in this bear run. In our series Conned, we speak to John Opanda, who lost 8 million shillings in a deal that was just too good to be true.
I fall a victim of Golden Scape Greenhouses, which is a company that has hit the media in the year 2020, following having conned thousands of victims.
My name is Gushundongo, and I'll be your host. Welcome.
I think that's it. Thank you very much. I would like to thank the AKU team, made for people. Made by people. Oh, made by people. Maybe your slogan should be for the people. Made by people. Max from Nation Media, our colleagues who have worked with, Neolight Productions, the young guys we can see there. They are cooler in person. And everybody else who helped us this. And we hope that we'll be able to continue with this project with your support and the support of Nation and AKU. Thank you.
My name is Benjamin Borioki from Royal Media Services. And my project was called Msema Kweli, as you can see. For us Kenyans, we know what that means. Msema Kweli, there is the what? The one who tells the truth. So it's a human-centered design project which was founded based on the designs and the needs of the audience out there. Am I audible? Okay. So you all know that out here, I'm sure even today or each and every day, you being an internet user, you get to come across fake news each and every time. Might be news that you're sure about, sometimes maybe news that you're not sure about. And, okay, thank you. So that's where the whole idea of this Msema Kweli project began, to address the whole pain that the internet and the audience get to go through when they come across information that is not accurate. The platform is a fact-checking platform, allowing the general public to fact-check information. The whole platform is meant to be engaging to the audience. That is, when you come across information that you're not sure about, you can share with Msema Kweli to verify it for you and tell you whether it's true or not. As I was seated there, I've just seen a tweet from, it's supposed to be the president's daughter, telling people that that she has not been asking for money from people to give them jobs. The account is not verified, and I'm very sure if we were to ask ourselves, is it her account, we would not be sure about that. So Msema Kweli, that's where now Msema Kweli would come in. You can grab that screenshot and share it with us, and we can verify for you whether is it the genuine account and whether the information that is written there is accurate or not. Today, in fake news comes in different forms. The main ones is misinformation and disinformation. The clear difference is that misinformation is it's information that is not true, but is not meant to deceive. Like if, for example, you heard that this session was supposed to begin at 10, then you came at 11, someone told you maybe by mistake come at 11, that is misinformation. But really, they did not intend to deceive you so that you can come and find that the session is over. But if you are told intentionally, come at 2, and we clearly knew that this was supposed to start at 10 and you came at 2, then you found it's done, that is now disinformation. So we conducted a survey, an online survey, before we came up with this project. And out of the 52 respondents who took part in it, they agreed that they have come across fake news. Majority of them say that they've come across it on Facebook, Twitter, then on WhatsApp. And then a section of them also agreed, majority of them were of the opinion that the fake news that they came across made them, they were to some extent believe that it was true. So until they later came on to find that the information was not true. Then still on the survey, which had a number of questions, but due to time we cannot have to show the results here. The survey, we asked people, when you come across fake news, how do you go ahead to verify? So we had a number of options. Do you Google it? Do you ask a friend? Do you verify with mainstream media? Most people, majority went for they Googled the information, followed by asking a friend, and then confirming with mainstream media. So you find there are different options that people now go by in terms of dealing with fake news. And now that's where this product comes in now. We want to be the fallback, the plan B for the audience. if you're coming across information, because you might not be sure about yourself. Maybe it's information that is within the government or something. If you come and ask someone who's not in government, they might not be in a position to tell you. But being a professional platform, we can use our contacts and connections to confirm that information for you. We intend to link the platform to Google fact-checking tools. You know how you can search back a photo. If you come across a photo that you're not sure when it was taken, there's a way you can do it on Google. So we can link some of those tools with Msema Kweli. Also, if you search Google fact-check tools, Google fact-check tools, and just search anything, let's say Ebola, you'll find certain misinformations and disinformations that are going on about Ebola. So we can pick some of them and put them on the platform so that we also inform our audience. We don't just sit back and wait for them to just ask us. We also know what is being spread that is not true, and we can inform our audience. So the team that we would intend to work with is the developers, people who are going to develop the platform. We envision having a website and also a mobile app, which now become more user-friendly for the audience. Then researchers who just scout through the internet and social media to find out what fake news is going around and debunk it for the audience and place it there just even before the audience comes across it. And also, we also tend to have some journalists who will also inform, because lack of information also contributes to spread of fake news. Because if you don't know something, that's where now fake news will come in. Because if you have no information about a certain product, let's say this, and someone comes and tells you this thing is diamond or something, and you're not sure what material has been used to this, that's now you can easily get misled. So we also intend to have the team, developers, journalists, and researchers as part of the Msema Kweli team. This solution, just keep to solution. What we intend to solve through this platform is, one, credibility for the media organization. If Royal Media Services would adopt this, you all know that it's the leading media house in the country with 3 TV stations, 14 radio stations, Citizen Digital, as well as a video on demand platform. So with all that wide audience, might be similar, the audience is similar, but it's different in one way or the other. So with the whole of that audience and using this platform, we can be able to address the concerns in terms of fake news for them. Then we also intend to deal with the accountability for individuals as well as the government. As you all know, right now, a very important process is going on in the country, the vetting of the CSs. They are saying so many things, each one of them saying, do we know whether some of them are lying or they are not telling the truth, or it's half-truths? So as Msema Kweli and the team, we can go through what they are saying and say this is a half-truth, this is not true, this and that, so that the audience remains informed. If you have any query, do you think what this nominee said, is it true or not? We also address it there on that. So as you can see on your right side, that is just a screen grab of the landing page of the Msema Kweli website. The quote is, if the wind will not serve, then take to the oars. You can see that part of submit. So if you click on it there, it will give you the place where you can write your contact there. You can write your question, and also there's a field where you can upload an image and we get back to you. So then you can also become a contributor as part of that. Then the blue part is all facts. Anything that we have debunked and verified remains there, so that in case anyone comes to the platform, can also see what has already been debunked and is already set there for the audience to see. So the unique value is user engagement and interactiveness. The audience is interacting with the platform and getting first-hand engagement, so that if you're in your house or you're maybe in class, you've just seen something that you're not sure about, you engage in the interactiveness of the platform. The business model, how we intend to make money through the platform, is through partnerships with the news organizations. We find that some of these news organizations are quite busy to go through debunking everything that is out there. So we can partner with media houses. So in case, let's say it's a presidential address, they would like it debunked or fact-checked. We can fact-check with them and becomes a whole business model. Then we have sensitization campaigns. Let's say USAID wants to push a certain agenda. The Ministry of Health is speaking about COVID or the outbreak of Ebola. What do they want to sensitize the audience about? So we can partner with them to push the facts about the whole campaign that they're pushing. And then as well as last part, the native advertising. So what's the future plan? Is to make the Msema Kweli platform the go-to platform for anyone who is seeking to verify information through consistency and conveniently. Thank you. Being the last person, I would like to thank TWA and AKU for giving us this opportunity to take part in this very important exercise. And I also want to recognize my lecturer, Dr. Nancy Buka.
Thank you very much. I know Brian will be sharing all these platforms. I think we'll share them on, you want them to be displayed on the screen? Okay. Yeah, so we'll display all the platforms on the screen. And now because we are hard pressed on time, I know the DWA team that is online would actually like to speak to all these products that you guys have presented. And the dean is also here. So what we will do is very simple. We will dedicate the next 17 minutes to just hear their response, because I know almost all of them will leave by 1. Then we can get the response from our team. I think that feedback is the most important thing. And like Stefan said, it's not like they know. They're just adding, a perspective that probably we didn't see. So, Roxana and team, I know you're online. So the screens for the different products will just scroll. But if there is anyone from DWA, I think I'll give you the microphone via Zoom. So just put your hand up and I'll probably see you.
So guys, who wants to go first?
Julius. You're on mute, Julius.
All right, now, so the buttons are different in Teams and in Zoom. So thank you for this wonderful presentation. And as Stefan mentioned, I also was a founder of at least 2 or 3 companies. I know how hard it is to present your ideas and to convince maybe investors, partners, or customers. So I would like to start with Elsa stories, and I really like the concept, but I have, for me, there's one kind of elephant in the room, and this is my question I want to ask: how you deal with the power asymmetry? So, if you bring together these, I say, people, ordinary people from the street, like the guy you had in the video, together with what you call the authorities, politicians, or whatever it is. So I see the really power imbalance. And it's, for me, as if I were a regular guy from the street, I had to talk to, for instance, an official or a minister even, I don't know how to do this. So how you deal with this imbalance?
Okay. So was the question addressed? I want to believe it's Guchu specifically and Brian, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Brian, do you want to respond? Yes.
Thank you very much. I think if I got your question right, is how we will connect the authorities directly with the community members. We will do a screening so that we don't have power imbalance. We will ensure that the work of our work as journalists is to screen pre the live event so that we don't have some people prolonging the conversation or coming in to abuse power. I think if I got you right.
Yeah, it's okay, thank you. But maybe an additional question. I saw in the video that you have, okay, he is gone.
No,
Sorry.
he's still here. He's still here.
No, I'm still here.
Still here.
No, and I if I got you right, you said your target group are elderly people, but for me in the video we saw the example that this is more a younger group or younger middle-aged people you had in the video, and I wonder if you really could reach out to elderly people on these platforms.
Yes, as well. The MVP or the demo was just targeted on a younger demographic, but we intend to also reach out to all the other groups, even including communities in the rural parts of Kenya or the world, communities that are any other community that has issues with governance policies and are affected by the daily, everyday concerns.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Julius. Any other comment from DWS side? Brian is still here with me.
I'm sure there are. Maybe, yeah, Crispin.
Crispin?
Maybe, I don't know, Husband, shall we?
Yeah, yeah. Can you hear?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, Brian, I really enjoyed your presentation. I really thought that your product is quite interesting, and I was, even before you mentioned town hall later on, I was thinking, yeah, this sounds like a virtual town hall sort of a thing.
Thank you.
So quite interesting, I must say. The only question I have is I'm still a bit lost in as far as your target is concerned, because I remember at the beginning you mentioned the elderly people. Yeah, as if I'm not wrong, as part of your target audience, right? So I assume that these are people also who are not very much tech savvy. So how do you intend to reach them?
So the production will be hybrid because now we also need to be there physically as journalists. So the production will be hybrid. We'll have a production team on the ground to link them, to help them get on board and get live. And then now for the tech savvy, we believe that authorities most of the time are tech savvy, or they have tech savvy people around them in the office. Them they can just get on board. But for the communities themselves, because we'll be doing a pre-introductory story, we'll be there already. We are planning that we go all systems go. We go all systems there, then we get them on board live for the elderly.
Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is when you're having these live sessions, apart from just moderating, which I thought in your video sample, the journalist more or less just introduced the guest. But what other role is it he or she is going to play as the journalist?
Just to get keep and housekeep. and just ensure that there is a consistency in terms of the ideas that need to come out, or in terms of the solutions that need to come out. So ideally, he's not going to be like traditional media spaces. He's not going to ask the questions on behalf of the people. He will be there to moderate and screen the people who are speaking or who are coming in.
If I can jump in, we also tried to ask the National Environmental Management Authority, NEMA, what they think of this idea. And for them, they've had this challenge of getting too many people at one go. And so we introduced this concept to them, and they were quite interested in it. And as Brian says, the journalist is there to moderate. And in instances where maybe you are targeting quite a number of people, and you realize that there are certain questions that are similar, say maybe 6 questions that are almost similar, then the journalist now comes in and tries to make the questions, tailor the questions to, to the experts. So the journalist in this case would serve as a link, would moderate and just make sure that there is that sense of professionalism, but then it ensures that the end users have this representation. They ask those questions direct. But when you realize that certain questions are similar, you sort of categorize them, compartmentalize them, and sort of get the answers from the experts. So there's a bit of moving parts here and there, but that really is the idea that we intend to sort of take forward.
Stefan, I think there was something Stefan was... there's a point you were making before I go to I
just wanted to ask the time, if we can have, because I thought it's till 12:30, right? Or so that we have time for the discussion, and maybe then so that not just one idea gets feedback, maybe can now go to Mirko, and Mirko, maybe you can just give your overall picture so that we collect a little bit the feedback and then the teams answer. Could this be an option?
Yeah, I think that's an option. We can get an overarching picture of all the ideas. They don't necessarily need to respond. And probably if there is need for more engagement, we can even get notes on which product and what perspective are you seeing in terms of how it can be enriched further. So maybe we're gonna take the next 5 minutes. Back to you. We will note everything, and then I will invite the Dean to give her remarks and probably bring this large media organization initiative to an end. Thank you. So we can do one by one. So we'll start with Mirko.
There's something going on in my backyard. I'm not sure what is really going on. People discussing. First of all, before I forget, congratulations to all the teams and all participants for poking into how you can build a sustainable media business. One suggestion that I would have is once you identify an area like you did, and specifically the communication between the public and authorities is a big topic in many states. How can you break down the barrier of people talking or not talking to each other and getting a sense of progress? There are examples, and my hint, what I wanted to talk about very briefly is constructive journalism. There is an initiative going on finding journalistic formats that are going into such directions. One specific example, in Denmark, they have a talk show format, which is pretty much like a discussion between officials and the public. And in the discussion, they are in the studio, and the space they have is reduced step by step, so that they have a chance to find a compromise and a solution. What I mean by that is that, do you find a way to, for example, solve the problem of local garbage collection on one example
And can this example be reused? So I think you're sitting on a gold mine of relevant journalistic content, and I would encourage you to go deeper into that and even sharpen the format further and again until it can become sustainable. So that's basically my feedback here.
Thank you. Thank you, Miko. Yes, I think that applies to most of them, just how to scale the ideas to other areas from the illustrations that they give. Petra?
Yes, hello, thank you all of you for these presentations. Really interesting, a lot of work you put into. And I think for the first one, we already mentioned a lot, and I totally agree with the audience. I think the audience is very broad, so I think for me, the same questions than for the others have been, how do you include the elderly and the young ones, and how do you reach out to them? But I also would like to jump to the other products which have been presented. For example, I don't know if I pronounce it correctly, Ring, in the Sheng language. I would like to ask if there is any audience engagement, or if it's that journalists present the content on the platform and the people consume it, or do you consider how to engage with the audience? This is one question. And another one I have is for this money guide, because you said you will work together also with banks or with finance institutions. And normally they have a kind of interest. They want to earn money. So I would like to ask if there's, how to guarantee independence, and what if they recommend products and the people who will listen to your recommendations, to their recommendations, will lose a lot of money. How will you handle this?
Thank you.
So questions for two different media outlets.
Yeah, so I think there's a question for Celestine there, and then a question for Guchu.
Crispin, just a second before you start.
Right,
I'm not sure if they still can hear us, because
we can
picture,
hear you.
There's a.
So I think we missed a bit of what Julius was saying, but we got everything he said up to the point where he was talking about the business, the innovative aspect in the money guide. So if you added anything after that, we didn't get.
Oh, the only thing what I would like to say is that I see it a little bit critical if fact checkers are starting campaigning for other organizations. So this for me this is my. It's a bit of a problem.
Okay, now we can hear you.
Sound, but no image. So maybe it just has been confirmed. If you have sound, we can proceed.
Yes, we have sound
if
now.
Not, we just.
But I think we got that on fact checkers. So Crispin.
No, they left.
Testbild, das gab es früher immer.
We are here.
Ah, great. So
yes,
so maybe then Crispin, you could proceed.
Yeah, I'll keep it very short because much has been said, and I agree with all of it. For me, I must again congratulate all the products that have been presented here today. And coming from the journalistic background, I just have to emphasize again that in as much as we want to embark on this new digital space and we want to create innovative products, we should not forget about offering quality content as well. So that is something that I have had a few people mention it, but I think we should not forget that at the end of the day, we want to give people quality journalistic content, whether we are talking about fact-checking or health or financial advice. That is always important to have in mind. And then the other thing is to again I think Julius was just mentioning it here, which we also struggle with as Deutsche Welle, is how to regulate ourselves on these huge social media platforms. You know, we also want to have more followers, we want to have more users consume our content, but we always have, you know, to sign terms and conditions, and sometimes some of their guidelines do not necessarily also agree with ours. So these are questions that we always have to ask ourselves, because we tend to be more and more leaning towards these spaces, these digital spaces, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and all the rest. But it's always a dilemma sometimes. So we have to always have that at the back of our minds, yeah, that sometimes it can be quite a challenge to go along with what they want or what they consider is acceptable and what we consider is acceptable. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Crispin. What I've done is I've noted the main questions and comments that have been made. So I'll give Stefan to make his comments, and then I will invite the Dean. And then, because I also guess the Dean will have some comments on other issues that have been raised and buttress most of them for the journalists. And then after the Dean, we can have that conversation with those who will still be there and proceed for lunch. Stefan, then the Dean.
Yeah. And the lunch for us? Okay. So thank you, Hespen. And yeah, great design, I would say, of the websites you created. Really good looking things, products. I also like the approach you took via the human-centered design, and of course centered in the audience and not in just the technology. If I would look for a common denominator of all the projects, I would say it's all about this kind of community-driven journalism, right? How to engage your audience, your communities, to do something, to participate in a kind of journalistic process. And for this, of course, this is a nice vision. We at Deutsche Welle also have experience, also kind of sad experiences trying to engage the audience, because many times the audience doesn't react the way we want. And why should they care about your product? I think this is really the big question. How can you really be part of their living environment? And I would, if we would have had more time, of course, I would have liked to understand better how do you motivate, for example, young people in the Ring project or in the ELESA project. How do you motivate people really to have the trust and the conviction that it makes sense to be part of your project, right? Because I think this is a big issue, and I would suggest to look beyond just the online targeting of your communities. I would go for a hybrid approach, and I think I heard from Elisa project that you are trying to do it, to really have also the project rooted in a local community, because I think the local communities have a lot of potential, and especially the large media houses were not really taking care about the local communities, because they are always looking at the big picture, the big audience, but it makes a lot of sense to put a lot of effort into this. And I think you could learn from other areas like smart cities. And I'm not sure if you're aware of, for example, in Europe, in Barcelona, they have a really interesting approach to digital participation. They build a platform for citizens to participate. It works incredibly good. And you could go there to get inspiration on how to do it, how to bring people really to read through long texts, because it's not that people just want to see a short video. They really engage with it because they understand that it can make a difference to be part of this. And this for me is a big key beyond the design question. And if it's nicely made video, it's really more, why is there a value participating? So check it out. I can facilitate the link as well for the fact checking. I'm also seeing a little bit critical, the fact checking only approach, because the question is, what is your impact? And how do you create the trust that people believe that you are the good fact checkers for it? And there was also an interesting debate on fact checking in Kenya, I think, after the election. But if you look also for inspiration, I really can recommend you an Argentinian site, Chequeado. They are doing fact-checking for more than 15 years, and they really have good approach. So really quick but congratulations, and it's really amazing to see this happen, and I hope we can maybe continue the conversation. So has been up to.
Thank you. I think that's a good point to end it, that the conversation continues, especially on how to develop this product. Now, allow me to welcome Professor Nancy Buka. I must say we are very privileged to have Buka here because I know the many things that he has to do for this school. Karibu, Professor.
Some people didn't clap, but I know it's because I'm standing in the way of their lunch. Good afternoon, everybody. It's really a delight to be here. As I sat there, I said, this is a fun place to hang out, not where I was, and they shouldn't hear that. I was at a different meeting, and the conversations were very academic in nature, so it's really, really nice to be here. And I really want to pass my regards and greetings to our colleagues from DWA. So good to see you, Stefan, after a long time, and I hope that we will be connecting again soon, and several others around the call. As I sat there, so I had this whole presentation that I'd prepared, which now I'm going to put on the side and just speak very, very briefly on my observations, and it's good to know that Max is here. I was told about your presentation, which I missed, and there was somebody here who said you should have been here before Max spoke. So I asked whether it was recorded, and I was told it is, and I hope to listen. It's really a delight to have you here, Max. In another life, Max is a student at GSMC, so it's quite an honor to see the work that he is doing. I'm impressed by what you've been able to do over 3 months, and considering that it was not a continuous 3 months, it was a next number of days every month. And I think I walked in when Celestine was, speaking about her product, and I was intrigued by it because I've realized that I'm aging. The sort of Sheng that we spoke, or we continue to speak, is just understood by a small group of people. And sometimes when I go online and I look at the Sheng and the new ways in which people are speaking, the young people are speaking today, I'm completely lost. So at times I have to ask, what does that mean? So I'm really looking forward. Celestine, you have an audience in me. When that product is up, I'll be on it for various reasons. One is to find out what are the new ways or the new speech patterns, but also how can I connect with a lot of young people who make up a huge part of my life as a teacher. But one thing that I'd also like to say is that, as you think about your product, Celestine, what are the ways in which you do not lock out a certain constituent? Because when I saw your product, I said, okay, this is a place I can learn some new words, but I also want to connect with people who speak the Sheng that I speak, which I will not dare speak here, because then you'll just put me in a box in terms of what age group you think I belong to. So diversifying that language and having more than one Sheng iteration, so that people of different age groups can connect and find your content appealing, in addition to learning new terms. And that's because, language is one of the things that helps people connect, but they also carry some very deep values with them, and deep meanings. So just a thought as you think about that. So you could actually classify it. So if you're of a certain age group, this is your Sheng. If you're of this particular age group, this is so that we don't lose that very rich history that informed how some of us spoke at a certain time. And then I listened to Gushu's presentation, and I think his question around, how many of you want to get rich? And I reflected on the fact that, as you're watching the CS nominees being interviewed, and they're declaring their net worth, I was unable to sleep very well last night because I asked myself, what's happened? I mean, I thought, you listen to those figures and you realize, first of all, I don't even think I belong to the middle class anymore. I think I'm somewhere below that, because those figures are just staggering. and so I've really been reflecting hard on, am I doing the right thing? Am I in the right calling, or should I venture elsewhere? So I think, for Gushu, your idea is one that is going to appeal to people, because we all are concerned about money and, either how to get it, how to save it, how to invest it, how not to get conned. And I think for me, that's a viable project. For me, what I was missing was what's different in it, and find ways in which you're able to listen to your audiences a lot more and figure out what are the sorts of things that they'd like to see, in such a in such a product. I think at some point you mentioned that you'll have a segment where you feature prominent folks in Kenya who have been conned. And I thought, well, I'm not prominent, but I've been conned. I wish you could bring me to the show so that I could speak to you about my own experience, because I think a lot of people will relate, with those stories of, not prominent persons, but, your regular man on the street who has gone through that experience and what that meant for him or her. I think if you've been conned in this country, you have a story to tell. So think about including as many voices as possible. And then, I also had a chance to listen to Msema Kweli, Brian. And I think user interaction is really critical in the content that you'll be creating, and the products that you will be, you'll be launching. And as you reflect on it, ask yourself what sets you apart from everybody else who's doing fact checking. There are very, very different platforms that are doing one form of fact checking or another. But I think an integral bit, and I think Stephen mentioned it, would be what's the value add? Could you then be this place where, other than just doing fact checking, that you also are providing, information that helps people stay on top of things. And I like the fact that, I'm sorry that I was not here in good time to listen to the others, but those are the three that I listened to very, very attentively, and I thought, wow, interesting projects that, would go very far. But one thing that I think stood out for me in all the presentations, and I think this would also lend itself to some of the presentations that I missed, is that we continuously have to engage, with our audiences, because audiences will only stay connected for as long as that quality is speaking to them and they can relate. And so spending a lot more time understanding who your audiences are, what they're doing, what they're looking for is key. And I think we cannot emphasize the need for research and development as part of your everyday work as you think about, your products. And then I'm also reminded of, some three things. A lot has been talked about by, a professor that I really like. It's called Rich Gordon, professor of digital innovation at Medill School of Journalism, who identifies 3 bundles of strategies and tactics that are useful. And one of them is human-centered design. And I think as different groups came up, I heard that word and I smiled, because I thought, wow, great, they're with it. Engaging users actively with the concepts that you have designed. And it doesn't stop at the point at which the idea is now, you think that the idea has reached fruition. It's a continuous iterative process, and I would encourage you to continue doing that as you develop your projects further. The second one is agility, building on small chunks and keep testing these chunks with users as you develop and grow. And I think, for some, the ideas were quite a lot, but if you just focused on one idea or small ideas, and then you keep testing that and growing that and developing, I think you will, you'll be able to see the results. And then lean, that's one thing that he advises. Investing resources incrementally. as you test and as you learn, while prioritizing revenue generation in the process. And I think somebody mentioned that, when Max was speaking, he spoke about the fact that, you can have innovative ideas, but, you also have to think about how you're going to finance them. And this is not something that you're the only one struggling with. We are all grappling with that today. Anytime I come up with a new idea at my place of work, I'm asked, how are you going to resource it? So I have to think about, the business model that accompanies all the great ideas that I have. And that is, in essence, not supposed to be a hindrance, but it's supposed to, help us think beyond just coming up with the idea, but also ways in which we resource it, up to a point that it can generate its own revenue and stand on its own. So I'm really excited at the ideas that I've listened to this afternoon, and I look forward to seeing this, come to life. I really want to thank my colleagues who work at the Innovation Center, Claire and Hesbon and team, for the work that you've done, and our colleagues from DWA. And I'm hoping that we can come back at some point, not just to reflect on lessons learned. I learned the other day that we are moving away from just reflecting on lessons learned, because if we just do that, then there's nothing we are doing. So I'm hoping that we'll come back to reflect on lessons learned, but beyond that, to also ask ourselves, what's been the impact of the work that we have done? And we can share those stories, not just with future cohorts, but also with the industry at large. And I thank you.
Now, I think before I let the Dean go, there are some gifts from our marketing and communication team. So I will just ask the Dean to present them to our journalists. And of course, it's a privilege to have Max sit through all this after his very elevated speech at the beginning. It is recorded, and I think it's something we'll go back to. So if you allow me, Claire and the Dean can present this. So we have the first one for Max. Okay. Nairobi. I think we've learned so many things courtesy of Made by People. Benjamin. So we are starting with professor students, yeah? Brian. Then Benjamin, another student. Celestine.
I'm telling you, I should retire.
And then Gucci.
Gucci.
Thank you, Prof. I hope I didn't miss anyone. Our colleagues from DW, we are very grateful. We have your gifts. We will meet Stefan and company in Uganda, possibly, and they will be packaged for you. So finally, let me just take this opportunity, first of all, to thank Aroa Media Services for granting us this opportunity to be with your journalists for the last many months, Nation Media Group, I know it was not easy. I mean, the 6 guys will tell you that they were the guinea pigs. This is the first cohort, so there was a lot of learning, a lot of hardships here and there, but we actually managed. My colleague, my counterpart from DWA, Roxana, I think we did a lot. We learned in the process. It was not very easy. Sometimes what we want to do and the bureaucracy clash, and it takes a bit of time, but we really appreciate. So I want to take this time to bring this to a close, but the conversation continues. We'll reach out to you, Stefan, Julius, Petra, Crispin, and the rest of the DWA team, and possibly we'll have a physical engagement at some point with this cohort and the next cohorts that we'll have in our support for large media organization. Allow me to bring this to an end. Thank you very much for staying for 24 more minutes beyond the hours, and may you enjoy the rest of your afternoon.